trendafricatv@gmail.com or call us on 773-312-0318 or 773-756-6678. Remember to also follow and like us as Trend Africa TV on Facebook so you can always catch us live. On Instagram as Trend Africa TV 123 or subscribe to our YouTube channel as Trend Africa TV and click on the notification button to watch previous shows. You can also visit our website for your African news, entertainment, fashion, and sports updates on www.trendafricaonline.net. Trend Africa TV, redefining Africa.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the health segment on Trend Africa TV. I am your host, EMPRESSMAWUSI, and today we are going to be talking about mental health. We are going to be talking about how COVID-19 is affecting us mentally. I have some special guest who is willing to talk. I would be joined later on by my co-hosts who are professionals who will be joining the panel with me. But right now, I would like us to take this opportunity or this little time to invite our friends and loved ones and our enemies too. And you want to share the feed, and we want to get enough people online before we talk about this. What use it is if we are going to be talking or educating people when nobody is watching. So please, if you're joining us right now, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, please do us the favor to share the feed. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Charlie, this corona thing slow everything down, eh? When all this go end, make a call Dr. Amina, see say she get some information.
Hey, hello, Adam. I hear from you, Chao. How be you and your family?
We all be cool, oh. I hope say you be fine too. I dey call ask some questions about coronavirus.
Sure. What things you want know?
I hear say corona medicine dey wait them they hide them.
Me self I hear, but it no be true. Plenty research they go on to find corona medicine, but this usually they take time. Researchers too they try some of the old medicines, and some they show good promise. We for hope say the hard work will pay off soon.
So what about medicines where people they call immune boosters? Then they fit prevent or cure corona? How about if I take plenty vitamin C and D?
As with all infections, your immune system they help fight corona. You go fit take some food supplements support your immune system, but if you dey chop balanced diet, you dey get enough nutrients. No research they so say taking plenty supplements will protect you from corona. The medicines them they call immune boosters too. Nothing they show say them go protect you.
And what about vaccines?
Yeah, vaccines they help, but that usually be to protect people them no yet get the disease. Plenty research they go on to find corona vaccine, but this usually they take time. People self-start talk say vaccines no good, but that no be true. It be sake of vaccines where some diseases like polio no they worry we again. You know what? The vaccine matter there. I go take my time explain them later.
Oh, okay. So how we go protect one body from corona?
The best way be say you for day house as much as possible. But if you for come out, you for wear mask then day at least 2 meters from other people. You for make sure say the mask they cover your mouth then nose all. You also for wash then sanitize your hands more times, then make you no touch your face. Take some bleach to sanitize your surfaces. If you feel say you get corona, you for quarantine yourself. You for rest plenty, chop well, then drink plenty fluids. But if you know they make better, then you for call the emergency numbers. If you get corona, you know they mean say you go die. More people they recover cry.
Eh?
Yeah. We all for follow these simple directions. So say we go protect we and other people from corona, and we no go overburden one of healthcare professionals than healthcare system.
Hey, Dr. Amina, that you shack rough.
Hey, Adam, Sean that thing. Which madam then the kiddies give me?
Hello, everyone again.
My guys, I want to discuss some 7 things where people they talk about corona plus you.
You put the worry. You don't say corona really kill black people.
Make you no make anybody lie you. Corona no dislike give anybody crap. True say it start for China, but right here, it catch everywhere, where they fit kill anybody, especially people where they get some other sickness. For places like Yankee, corona they kill black people pass. Yeah, Charlie, some people say they talk say China people with shada do or it be 5G self where they cause them. But shine your eye, it no be anybody do we 5G too no go fit cause the sickness. The 5G self, it dey like the 4G way we all they take browse righty, it just be upgrade. People too, they talk say if you get corona, we chop plenty garlic, onion, ginger and lime, the sickness go. But this one too be lie. This thing's good for the body, mom, but I don't know if it prevent or cure corona.
So what about Sobolo?
Me sef, I dey like sobolo, but into no they do corona nothing.
Appeal to...
Corona mainly they attack the lungs, so appeal no go fit do am nothing. The truth be say, people wey dem dey booze, corona they feel worry them, papa. People too they talk say if you cut onions put your room, corona no go come there. But corona no they like mosquito, where go fit kill am plus coil.
Then how we go feel protect on our body?
Corona they spread where more people self get, where they no know. So Charlie, if you no get anywhere important go, make you day house. But if you really for come out, then you for wear mask, then stay at least 2 meters away from other people. If for they wash your hands, then use hand sanitizer more times. But I beg, make you no drink am. If you dey call for sneeze too, do for your elbow inside. Take some bleach to clean surfaces where they touch. But this no be for your body. Finally, if you feel say you get corona, may go chop for one corner, so say no go spread them. If you get plenty rest, then drink more fluids. But if you make worse, then for call the emergency numbers. Charlie, this be all for today. But if I hear any other thing, I will come back to talk about them. For now, we will make sure say we go protect we, our family, our friends, then everybody from corona. We all for play one part, so say we no go increase the pressure where it dey on a healthcare system and on a healthcare professionals them at all.
But we for take responsibility and keep fighting with positivity.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome if you're joining us here on Trend Africa TV. This is the health segment, COVID-19, the way forward. The COVID-19 pandemic and resulting economic status have negatively affected people's mental health and created new barriers for people already suffering from mental illnesses and substance abuse. Today I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce my regular co-host in the person of Mrs. EUNICE CROMWELL, who is a family nurse practitioner. She provides and continues to provide comprehensive health care for all ages and genders while emphasizing on disease prevention. She is also the financial manager of the Ghana National Council of Chicago. Thanks for joining us, Mrs. EUNICE CROMWELL.
Thank you.
Yes, and our young, handsome Dr. Edward OFORI is an assistant professor of the pharmaceutical sciences at the Chicago State College of Pharmacy. He is a professional pharmacist and a researcher in mental health and neuropsychiatry. Thanks for joining us, Dr. OFORI.
Thanks for having me, Mausi.
So we are going to change our regular formula where EUNICE will give us an update and all that on COVID-19. We are going to go ahead and dig into the meat of the whole interview. So I'm going to be going ahead welcoming our beautiful, oh my goodness, she is that beautiful white smile of ANDAH, CATO, ANDAH. Mrs. ANDAH, can you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me, Mausi. It's nice to meet you, Dr. OFORI, and EUNICE is my girl. I've known her, we go way back. My name is Mrs. ANDAH CATO ANDAH, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I own my private practice, and I live in Florida, just outside Orlando, so about 20 minutes from Disney. I am married to, I've been married for 25 years, and I have an adult son who is married himself, and I have a daughter who is 18. And I'm the new author of a book that just came out this week called Reflections of a Hope Monger. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Did you say you were married for 25 years?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
To the same man?
Yes, ma'am.
Just kidding. So, Mrs. ANDAH, please tell us the importance of mental health.
Well, I mean, so I think it starts with, first understanding how we are made as human beings. I'm going to speak from a faith perspective as well. The Bible describes, or we believe as from faith, that man is a tripartite being, which means we have 3 parts: our spirit, which is the spirit of God, the soul, which is the intellect and the emotions, and then the body. And so therefore, health then has to be spiritual health, mental health as well as physical health. And I see it as like a three-legged stool. If any of the legs is broken or shorter, the stool cannot stand. In the same
Right.
way, to really achieve health, you want a holistic health. And there's different ways of looking at health. One school of thought will talk about the pillars of health. And different, depending on what you're reading, you may find 5 or 6 different elements of health. But health is very holistic. And as such, mental health is important too. I like to say this: there's no health without mental health. There is no health without mental health, because the mental health, the ability to cope, with the everyday stresses of life, that sense of well-being is important if we're going to be productive human beings. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Ms. Saba. So, I want to find out from you. Growing up in Ghana, I remember sometimes we would see an elderly woman, or maybe someone struggling with mental health tied to a tree, and at that time they would call them witches and wizards, and we didn't understand. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand there was something called Alzheimer's, and I didn't at that time. And I'll be like, oh my god, I can't believe she's a witch, And then I will stand there and be watching them. But after I went into health care, and I started to understand that when people get older, they have a disease called Alzheimer's, dementia, and things like that. Um, so I want to ask you, why is it very difficult? Is it difficult for us to accept mental health? Why do we think negatively towards mental health?
Right. Well, I think it's basically, and that's a good question. It starts with what you said. For many of us as Ghanaians, our association with the word mental is that person tied to a tree, is that person we are calling the madman, right? Walking around, hallucinating, disheveled. He's talking and he does not making sense. He hasn't bathed in days. And unfortunately in life, and I think it's not just Ghanaians, but typically what we don't understand, we stigmatize. And so there's a lot of wrong notions about mental health. One of them being, if indeed if somebody is behaving in this way, having hallucinations or delusions and not making sense, then maybe they are there's a demon on them, or they are witch, they have witchcraft. And yet, like you are saying, it could have been an old woman or an old man who has dementia, who has Alzheimer's, and so on. So it's been a very unfair thing that's happened to people who are actually vulnerable and need our help. And yet we've actually probably caused them more pain over the years. But I think to answer your question, I would say that it is, for many of us, our association with the word mental being that person who clearly looks like an outcast of society. That's where the stigma, I think, starts from. And then lack of understanding.
So right now that with the pandemic going on, how is that affecting those who already have underlying mental issues? How is it making it worse?
Right. Well, so it's interesting because there's something called mental health and there's mental illness. All right. So mental health is a state of well-being. So when somebody is mentally healthy, number one, they're able to cope with the demands of their everyday life. And so we can all think about times in our lives or in our loved ones' lives when maybe something has happened and, I couldn't go to school today. I couldn't go to work today. I was so upset. Those are situations where mental health was compromised, right? Another sign of mental health is the person is able to adapt to change in their lives. Another sign is the person can cope with stress. And another big sign of mental health is the person has fulfilling relationships. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that I don't think there's a person, in this nation, in this world, and certainly not on this program right now, whose mental health hasn't seen some suffering in this year. 2020 has been a year, But in addition to that, yes, there's some people who suffer from disorders of mental health. And that is, they can trace maybe a chemical imbalance and they have a diagnosis and there are certain symptoms they exhibit. And so we've all seen a suffering about mental health this year, certainly since COVID came. And yes, for people who do suffer from mental illness, which already compromises their ability to cope with everyday life, then it's been even worse, even more of a burden on them. Yeah.
So if you have a mental illness and you have that chemical imbalance, can it be repaired? Can you be restored back to fitness?
Yeah, I mean, that is the point of, first of all, understand that it's a health condition. And I think that's where, in fact, one area where we need to educate and strip away the stigma is that a disorder of mental illness is a health condition. It's a health condition like hypertension or diabetes or asthma, and so yes, getting the right treatment, getting the right medication, getting the right follow-up and support, the person can begin to live a productive life, a full productive life. In most cases, there's some cases where, and I think Dr. Ofori will also be able to speak to that, where perhaps there's severe mental illness like a schizophrenia that may be severe, and so they will not be able to handle a regular, as we know it, life. But for the most part, about 80% of mental illness, I think depression is a big part of it. And yes, there's a lot we can do so we can, people can live full, healthy, happy lives.
Dr. Ofori, over to you.
Yep. So I do agree with whatever she said about mental health in terms of, it's like how you see somebody who is a bodybuilder, right? As soon as you see the person, you look at how they're built, you can assume that this must be the healthiest guy, right? So that is physical. We have similar thing when it comes to your mental, how the brain functions, right? So look at the brain like a computer, right? It has so many programs running it. And think about it as a virus or something infects the computer, right? The computer will either shut down or produce something that is unusual. But then to the person that is suffering from the mental health, that is normal, right? If you've ever seen anybody hallucinate or be on a certain medication and they're telling you what they see, right? They see that their grandmother is over there. They feel it's real. So this is part of the brain function that has gone wrong, right? But then we do suffer every day, every now and then, things that can actually keep us in that particular disorder. But then because we do have a robust mental health, we're able to kind of push it to the side, right? And move on with life. So when it becomes something that impairs your function, your daily activities, then it becomes an issue that needs to be looked at. But one thing I would say is that now that we acknowledge that this is actually an issue, some 100 years ago, people were actually, they thought that people had too much blood in their brain. They were possessed by Satan. There were so many things that we thought it was the cause of that, because we couldn't really hold anything to it. It wasn't tangible. So because of that, our mindset has been passed on from generation to generation. That is the reason why when you saw that person that was tied to the tree, you assume that they were witches or something like that, right? So it's a generational thing that goes all the way in the biblical times. So as we go on, we want to educate people that it's actually a disease and it's an actual problem. Just like we have substance abuse. Before, people that suffered from substance abuse, we thought it was their fault, right? So I think that is one major thing that we want to push to people, that it is actually a disease condition that we all suffer. People suffer from, just like any other disease like diabetes or hypertension.
Yes, and then if I may say something else, if you can, I think it's also important to understand, perhaps, because we often use mental health and mental illness interchangeably, but they're actually two different things. I want to give 3 examples that will hopefully help to highlight. So in example 1, there's a young man, he is, let's just say, 25 years old, right? And for most of his life, he suffered from something called ADHD. Have you heard of it before?
Yeah.
Attention, hyperactivity deficit disorder. And so he didn't do well in school. And so there was a time actually he flunked out of school. In that season of his life, his mental health was very poor. He tried his best, but he wasn't doing well in school. Right? Now, in that season though, he saw a doctor, they put him on medicine, and he managed to get his act together. And now he's back in school doing well. This is somebody, the ADHD is a low grade of mental illness. However, because he's now thriving in school, able to cope, his mental health is high. Does that make sense?
Right,
Now,
right.
a second person, 30 years old, this is somebody who suffers from bipolar disorder. And when he was in university, it derailed his life. It derailed his life. I mean, it took him out for several months. Again, in the course of time, he saw a doctor, has taken his medication. Now he has a job, he's married, he's living his life, he's doing well. This is somebody, because of the bipolar disorder, he has probably what you might say a high mental illness. However, now he's doing well and he's mentally healthy. And in times when maybe his bipolar is acting up, it can affect his mental health. But right now he's doing well. And a third example is, let's just say, a young mother. She has 3 children, ages 3, 5, and 7. COVID came, she lost her job. She wants to go find another job, but then who look after her children? She's having to homeschool. The kids are difficult. It's hard being home with her husband. Now, she doesn't have mental illness, but in this season, her mental health is compromised. You know, so I just wanted to show some examples to see that there's a difference, you know, between all of us. I think this year, raise your hand if you haven't had any kind of stress this year. I don't think there's any of us who hasn't had. And so all of us, our mental health has been compromised this year, but not everybody suffers from, as Dr. Ofori explained, the mental illness.
Dr. Ofori, are you done asking any questions or?
Oh yes. So I mean, I hold mental illness and mental health dearly to one of the cause, because I have seen, like, when I was growing up, I had 2 friends that actually fell to some sort of mental illness, and I'm telling you, before that happened, they were the nicest people on earth, right? Because of the chronic nature of this disease and the fact that we still don't know much about a lot of the mental illnesses, it makes it a little bit difficult to kind of, when someone suffers from it, it's just like you're going to be with it for the rest of your life, especially like schizophrenia and certain other mental illnesses that we don't have much treatment for. So it is very difficult because, see, when you have diabetes, right, you can actually have a test for sugar levels, right? Unfortunately, aside from diseases like Alzheimer's and maybe Parkinson's, we don't have any what we call biomarkers. So you cannot really say, hey, I went to the hospital and they checked my dopamine levels and it was this. So because of that, I might be schizophrenic. So it makes it very difficult to diagnose. If you go into the DSM-5, I'm sure, Mausi, if you ask you some few questions, you might turn out to have some sort of diagnosis, right? So it makes it a little bit challenging when it comes to mental illnesses. Some of us suffer from it one way or the other, but we don't even know. Okay, so that is one thing that I want to elaborate on.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's different ways of looking at the data, but one important one says that 1 in 4 people around the world in the course of their lifetimes will suffer from a mental disorder, or a loved one suffers from a mental disorder. That means of the 4 of us here, 1 of us either has a mental disorder or has a close loved one who suffers from a mental disorder. So it's time we again stop the stigma, because we are all affected by it.
Right. Mrs. Ada, I want to ask you, can mental illness be hereditary?
Yes, it can. Yes. Yes, it can be hereditary. Yes. There's data to show that. Yeah.
Okay, that's why it's always important to know the family history, and then yeah. Okay. So Mrs. Eunice Cromwell, any questions or anything you would like to add?
You know, one thing I was going to say is that one thing that's really painful in terms of the stigmatism is when people who are dealing with these mental illnesses or a mental condition have to pretend like they don't have it. When I first started my nursing career, I worked in a psychiatric nursing home, and you know, we are giving people medication to calm them down, whether they have like a PRN of Xanax or Ativan. But then you have these people who will leave all day, not take their medication, want to fit into society so well, but then we get a phone call from maybe a grocery store that they've completely lost it. Why? Because they haven't been taking their medication. They can't deal with the outside stimuli. So I feel like with us making fun of people or bringing all these stereotypes, we have made it very difficult for people to even accept their own diagnosis. And if you're not able to accept your own diagnosis, that makes it even that much harder to be able to treat the patient. So I think from a medical standpoint, that's the hardest thing for me. It's better when you have a patient, and people who are schizophrenic are brilliant. I don't know if you've ever really had a conversation with them, but they're sometimes fixated on certain things. Sometimes they can quote the whole Bible, they can babble on and on. They have very, very high intelligence, believe it or not. But if they haven't accepted their diagnosis, they become shy, they start hiding their medication, and that becomes a danger to society. And I think that's what scares me the most, because sometimes when you go to work, you don't know what's gonna, tick them off, if they're gonna try to beat you up. That's what makes it so difficult to be a psych nurse. That's why I'm not a psych nurse. Because it was so difficult. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so scared. But I think that Sister Abba told me that Saturday is going to be World Mental Health Day. And I think that's something that we can all help to contribute and let people know that if you are having a problem, it's better you talk to someone. It's better you confide in someone and try to get some type of treatment. I know we spoke earlier and said there really wasn't a lot of treatment, but there are some effective medications and psychotherapy and things that can help people to be able to deal with it, even if it's just talking to someone one-on-one for an hour. That could be your therapy, whether it's you going to church or something. So I think that with it being Saturday, World Mental Health Day, I want to ask you, Sister Abba, what can we do in our own community, in our own Ghanaian community, to help allow people to feel free, not thinking that they're going to be called crazy, not thinking that people are going to be making fun of them, that we're going to have to get the whole church on them to pour holy oil on them? How do we make people feel like, this is something that's real and we want to support you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. This year's World Mental Health Day, the theme is investing in mental health, and I think that's some of what you said. Let's, reach out and talk to somebody, please, nobody should suffer in silence. If you're going through something and you feel overwhelmed and you can't cope, reach out and talk to someone you trust, or talk to your doctor, or go see a counselor, or talk to your pastor. Reach out, and those of us in church and with the communities, let's not judge, because a disorder of mental health, like Dr. Ofori said, it's a health condition. It is no different than diabetes, asthma. In fact, I had a patient the other day, and just to show you that the stigma is not just among Blacks or Ghanaians. This woman was Puerto Rican, right? And she was having extreme panic attacks and so on. So I referred her to the psychiatrist. He gave her medicine, and the first week, have you taken it? No, not yet. The second week, have you taken it? No, not yet. I haven't started. And I'm like, but you're telling me your son, around the same time, you took your son to the doctor for his asthma. Has he taken his medicine? Yes. Why have you taken yours? My mother said we should just pray and we'll be over it. And I'm like, but what makes your health condition different than your son's? We should be willing, if there's a need for medication, to take medication. It's it may be, or when there's a need for it, it's an important, element of getting to a healthy place. So I think, that's one part of it. Another thing we can do in investing in mental health is let's all become mental health advocates. The truth is that it is ignorance that's causing the stigma. We can all be, now it's not difficult at all. It takes 5 minutes. Just go on social media, Google mental health. You'll see people are posting, share a post. If every one of us, even once a week, shares a post on mental health, on depression, on signs of depression, on symptoms if somebody is suicidal, on signs of bipolar disorder. These are the most common ones. On signs of anxiety, we can save lives. So yes, absolutely. Let's all become mental health advocates, and let's begin to share. Thirdly, one thing we can do in these times of COVID is the power of social media. I have to say, I hadn't done a single Facebook Live in January this year. And I remember one day thinking, as for Facebook live programs. No, that's not me. Then COVID hits, and I tell you, almost every week since about March, there's groups, people have private groups on Facebook, you know, and they say, come and talk to us about mental health. Come and talk to us about mental. So this is another way, you know, form groups, read a book together, encourage each other. That's how we use the power of community. Even though we are physically not together, it doesn't mean we have to be isolated, you know, emotionally. So let's use, you know, the power of social media. I feel like another thing that is important that can happen is, what do you call it? In our workplaces, you know, most workplaces or many workplaces have, you know, what they call, at least in America, employee assistance programs. You know, join one. You can probably get 5, 6, 7 free counseling sessions through your job. Why not? You know, actually, counseling is a really good thing. Going to counseling doesn't mean you are crazy or you are advanced. No, it's a privilege. You know, so often I think this is the most rewarding. This is my 3rd career. It's the most rewarding thing I've done, to be able to hold somebody's hand and walk with them, you know, to find their best self. So these are just some things. Of course, there's a lot of different things the church can do. There's a guy called Rick Warren, you know, and he wrote a book, powerful book in the early 2000s called The Purpose-Driven Life. Maybe you guys have heard of him. He was a best-selling author in secular and Christian circles. And then his son lost his life due to suicide, probably about 3-4 years ago. And then he himself became depressed for a year. Well, guess what? He came out, and I think he really has been a trailblazer in the church, in telling people that, you know what? Yes, mental illness is real. It doesn't mean I'm not spiritual. It doesn't mean I can't pray. It just means that in the same way I can be a Christian and have hypertension or asthma, I can also have a mental disorder. So you know what? Let's teach about it. For like $70, you can get a program from his website, you know, and teach, gather, you know, churches, gather your elders, watch the program together, learn something. There's courses called Mental Health First Aid. I can't remember how much that costs. I took it some years ago. It's a day, 6 hours. Nurses can get continuing education, you know, and you learn some things about, you know, mental health and mental illness. We can't afford to not be knowledgeable. The way the world has been, 2020 has shown us something different about the world. We must understand, we must learn, we must educate ourselves. We must be different. Let's invest in our mental health.
Thank you, Mrs. Ada. Wow, this is very intense. You can tell she's very knowledgeable, and we appreciate all the information. Mrs. Ada, we want to find out from you, just like our regular, to maintain our health, we annually go for checkups. How can we maintain our mental health? Should we be going to see a psychiatrist every year? When do you go to see a psychiatrist?
Right. So if you have a disorder of mental health that requires a psychiatrist, then yes, he will tell you when to come back. Make your appointments, see your psychiatrist every time he tells you according to schedule. I always say, take your medicines exactly as your doctor prescribes, at the same time, in the same way as the doctor prescribes. The whole point is you're trying to balance out the imbalance in your brain chemicals, you know. So definitely, and whether it's a psychiatrist or it's an internal medicine doctor, see your doctor if there's a need for medication, right? What are some other things we can do to maintain our mental health? Well, you know, interestingly enough, and Dr. Oforo, you can speak to this, a healthy diet helps. You know, if you keep eating Burger King and so on, you're not going to get much nutrition, and it can affect your brain chemicals. The bottom line is there's a lot of research now. Google it, you know, foods that will help curb anxiety or get rid of, you know, help me with depression, against depression. Take your supplements if need be. That's a whole area that we need more learning in. So a healthy diet, I think a good night's sleep, you know, I'm not saying things that are new or things that are like crazy complicated. You know, have a solid set of friends. Toxic relationships can affect mental health. Unhealthy relationships, abusive relationships can affect mental health. I've worked with women, you know, because of a bad marriage, their hair is falling out. They are aging and they're only maybe in their early 30s. You know, and not even marriages, even within your family, within your circle of friends. You know, I think it's time to begin to gain knowledge and to know what kind of friendships we're going to keep in our lives and which ones we're going to separate ourselves from. That's an important part of mental health. What else? Gosh, there's so many things. Social media. Do you know social media, too much of it can make you depressed? Because here's the thing, social media is sanitized. Go on my page right now. You're going to see a nice picture of me, right? You won't see the difficult things I'm going through. And so sometimes when people go on social media too much, that in itself can make them feel discouraged. Maybe you're going through a difficult day or a difficulty in your relationship, and then you go and see somebody's nice picture. You're like, oh man, why is it just me? And so sometimes it's a good idea to take a break from social media. You know, go for a walk, get some exercise, drink lots of water, do something that feeds your soul, that makes your soul happy. You know, pray, journal, worship. These are all ways, you know, and yes, go to therapy too, invest in counseling. You know, insurance will pay a lot of it. And even if you don't have insurance, pay for it. It's worth it. I'm telling you, it's so worth it. If anybody of you have never been to counseling before, y'all should go. It's especially if you find somebody who gels with you, it's an amazing thing. So these are all some ways, and I'm sure I haven't even exhausted everything we can do for mental health and mental wellness.
Thank you, Mrs. Ada. So at what point, I mean, if I've never been diagnosed with having any mental illness, at what point during my daily life do I realize that, you know, I think I need to see someone? At what point do I realize that I need help?
Right. So, I mean, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders will say if you've been feeling a certain type of way most days, all day for about 2 weeks, then perhaps, you know, hold on, then perhaps you should, you know, see a doctor. And when it comes to depression, which is probably the most common form of a mental illness, then there's 9 different symptoms. And if you are seeing like 5 of them all day, every day for about 2 weeks, or certainly a little bit more than that, then you can, you know, begin to, and again, you can go online. Am I symptoms of depression, right? And then see, you know, where you measure up against it. Again, we're not trying to diagnose anybody, but what we are saying is, you know, at least get an idea of what you're going through. One thing that's important is to recognize changes in your loved ones and changes in yourself. When people are depressed, of course, there's a depressed mood. They are sad, maybe tearful. Another symptom may be they are irritable. For me, what's interesting, and I didn't know this before I came into the area, is one thing I see often in people who are depressed is I call it a loss of vitality. The person was so full of life. Now, the things that used to bring them joy, they don't have joy in it. It's hard to get up and go to work. One patient I had the other day, she said, you know, Mrs. Abba, I went to work and all day I just looked at my computer like this. You know, I looked at my computer. I just couldn't gather the energy and the vim to get going. You know, some other symptoms are, again, changes, right? Weight loss or weight gain in appetite or loss of an appetite. Again, you can Google symptoms of depression or symptoms of anxiety, and there's so much information online, you know, and it will help you assess, okay, maybe something is up. Go see your doctor. And actually, I'm not even saying diagnose yourself. If you recognize that things have changed and it's hard for you to cope with your daily lives, see a doctor, talk to a friend, you know, and at least that's a start to be able to make a change that is necessary.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ada. We are going to take a little break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking about Mrs. Ada's book, Reflections of a Hope Monger. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for photography service for your upcoming event? Is it a wedding, an engagement, or a special event? Look no further. Jojo Texan Images is here. Hire him today for great quality pictures, a quality service provided on the day, and a great personality. Jojo Texan Images is on social media. Follow him Instagram and Facebook at Jojo Texan Images or call him 312-450-5235 and book your appointments today. Jojo Texan Images. Simply excellent. Book him now.
What it do, my people? It's your boy Kingsley Ego B, aka King the Preacher, aka the Peacemaker, aka the Joy of the People is my peace of mind. You are now watching Trend Africa. Don't touch that dial. If you won't touch her. Come on there. Keep watching Trend Africa. We are here. Africa has come to stay. Don't touch that dial. One love. Keep watching. Ratata.
Charlie, this corona thing slow everything down, eh? When all this go end, make a call Dr. Amina say she get some information.
Hey, hello, Adam. I hear from you, Chao. How be you and your family?
We all be cool, oh. I hope say you be fine too. I dey call ask some questions about coronavirus.
Sure. What things you want know?
I hear say corona medicine dey wait them to hide them.
Me sef I hear, but it no be true. Plenty research they go on to find corona medicine, but this usually they take time. Researchers too they try some of the old medicines, and some they show good promise. We for hope say the hard work will pay off soon.
So what about medicines where people they call immune boosters? Then they fit prevent or cure corona? How about if I take plenty vitamin C and D?
As with all infections, your immune system they help fight corona. You go fit take some food supplements support your immune system. But if you dey chop balanced diet, you dey get enough nutrients. No research they so say taking plenty supplements will protect you from corona. The medicines them they call immune boosters too. Nothing they show say them go protect you.
And what about vaccines?
Yeah, vaccines they help, but that usually be to protect people them no yet get the disease. Plenty research they go on to find corona vaccine, but this usually they take time. People self-start talk say vaccines no good, but that no be true. It be sake of vaccines where some diseases like polio no they worry we again. You know what? The vaccine matter there. I go take my time explain them later.
Oh, okay. So how we go protect one body from corona?
The best way be say you for day house as much as possible. But if you for come out, you for wear mask then day at least 2 meters from other people. You for make sure say the mask they cover your mouth then nose all. You also for wash then sanitize your hands more times, then make you no touch your face. Take some bleach to sanitize your surfaces. If you feel say you get corona, you for quarantine yourself. You for rest plenty, chop well, then drink plenty fluids. But if you know they make better, then you for call the emergency numbers. If you get corona, it no they mean say you go die. More people they recover cry. Yeah. We all for follow these simple directions. So say we go protect we then overburden one of healthcare professionals than healthcare system.
Hey, Dr. Amina, that you shack rough.
Hey Adam, Sean that thing. With madam then the kiddies give me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the health segment on Trend Africa TV. I'm joined by my professional panel, Mrs. EUNICE CROMWELL, Dr. Edward OFORI, and the beautiful Mrs. ANDAH joining us all the way from Florida. So we are going to be talking about Reflections of a Homemonger. It's a book that Mrs. ANDAH authored. And Mrs. ANDAH, could you please tell us a little bit about how the Reflections of a Homemonger came about?
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to do that. First of all, I don't have a book in my hand yet. Can you believe it? I've had so many people send me pictures. Amazon hasn't sent me my copy yet. So I just have the little image below. What was your question? I'm sorry. I'm so excited. I didn't hear your question. Tell me again. What was your question?
So we want to talk about how that story came about.
So yes, so it's not one story. It's a collection of stories, of essays, and I call it it's from my life. So it's like a part memoir. It's not an autobiography, but it's kind of most of the stories are from my life. Each story is crafted with a lesson in there, you know. And as a therapist, which is what I do all day, you know, there's teaching points in every story. Now, the thing about I don't know, Dr. Ofori, I'm sure it sounds like a very, very cerebral man. So if you give him a textbook, he'll flip through it and be done. But for most of us, that's more difficult. We actually identify with stories. When we hear stories, it engages us. We are interested to find out. We place ourselves in there, and actually it lowers certain barriers to resistance. And so even as we are listening to the story, enjoying the story, just whether it's the words or the images that's coming out, we are engaging in such a way that then when the lessons come, whoa, I just learned a lesson from it. And the reason why it's called reflections, that number one, every story is a reflection. Number two, they're reflections of my life. But number three, what's even more powerful is that everybody who's read it is telling me, my goodness, I read this story and I identified with it. So like one of my reviewers said, you start reading it thinking you're reading about me, but you end up reading about yourself. Because there's something the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. The truth is that the issues of life, they come to all of us. And the stories are funny. The stories are triumphant, joyful. There's some difficult ones. What I'm doing is I'm trying to, the stories that put me in a good light are modeling good behavior. The stories that are difficult situations, there are learning points for me and learning points for whoever is reading it. Right. And in each of them, there's a gold nugget or several gold nuggets of wisdom. And if you go on my page, you'll see it's getting some really nice reviews, which I'm very happy about, because this was all about bringing something that people will appreciate. And the point why I call it hope monger. What's a hope monger? Hope monger is a seller of hope. So if you get the book, what I'm giving you is hope. Again, when we have, depression, one of the main symptoms of depression is hopelessness. And so by giving you an opportunity, another reason to hold on to your hope, it's a strengthening factor. It's making you resilient and hopefully helping with mental health. And that's why I chose to launch it in the week of World Mental Health Day.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's called Reflections of a Hope Monger.
So Mrs. Abba, so I want to find out what made you decide to put pen to paper. I mean, we all have stories and we could all write books, but we've always been saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. But you went all out and you were able to find the time to put pen to paper. What inspired you?
Right. I had to make the time because our lives are busy. And I think for anybody who's tried or has written a book, life doesn't give you the time. You have to actually make the time, squeeze it. I think for me, if I go back even into my childhood, I was the first born, and I was actually even the first grandchild on both sides of my family. So I had younger siblings and lots of younger cousins that I mentored. But also growing up, I think I longed for someone to show me the way. And oftentimes I had to figure things out by myself. I didn't want my siblings and my cousins to go through that, or my children. And so I think that's what, birthed that desire to be able to, help somebody. And I think it's important for every human being actually just taking a detour to understand what your strengths are in life, to understand what your purpose is in life. And interestingly enough, I've had 3 careers. My first career, I taught in a community college for a year after I finished my master's program. In my second career, I worked for a pharmaceutical company for 11 years. And then I went back to school to become a therapist. And so it's interesting. I one day asked myself, what are your strengths even? Why these different professions? And it occurred to me that for me, my core strengths were number 1, really caring about people. And number 2, wanting to give people information to help them live better lives. And so this book was just another way of me being able to do that. So that's where the desire was birthed, and that's what indeed birthed this book as well.
So was there anywhere during the writing where you had to tweak the story a little bit so your book wouldn't fall under fiction then?
It's nonfiction.
It's nonfiction.
It's nonfiction. It's nonfiction. There's a good dose of faith, but there's also, feedback I'm getting is that you don't even have to be of a particular religious persuasion to enjoy the principles in there. So it's basically, we therapists, we use something called cognitive behavior therapy. But I'm using cognitive behavior therapy on you. It's just, I'm saying it myself. I'm selling myself. It's you feel like you're reading interesting stories, and you're like, oh, but I learned something as well. Oh, but I learned something as well. So
if it's stories about your life, are we going to be reading maybe your first kiss in there?
no, not my first kiss though.
No first kiss? Oh wow.
No.
So
maybe the next book, maybe volume 2. I'll make a note.
So where can we find your book to buy, please?
Thank you. So my book is available worldwide on Amazon. It's available. It was launched this week. It's available in paperback and available as the ebook. In Ghana, it's available via 2 online bookstores, booknook.com and Boutique Ghana, as well. So Amazon, Booknook, Boutique.
So do we have the option to have ebooks too, maybe on?
Yes, on Amazon.
Oh,
yes,
oh,
ma'am.
okay.
Amazon has the ebook as well.
Okay, so I'll let my co-host also ask you a question. I'm enjoying talking to you so much. I'm so sorry.
I know.
So let's try Mrs. Eunice Cromwell.
Well, Sister Abba, you know that I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on your book. You know, life is really something, and how you meet people. I met Sister Abba when I was in Florida. I actually went to her office. I was introduced to her by one of my pastors. So I really, really cherish her very, very much. And I'm so grateful that she's here today. Thank you for all the wonderful information you gave us. And you mentioned what inspired you to write the book. And so I wanted to know that with all the experiences that you've been through, that you put into the book, how do you think that has changed you overall? Like, since you've had the book out, people have been giving you reviews and they're telling you what they think about it. How has that changed you?
I don't know yet. It's too soon to tell. I think I'm on a high. I'm on a high of humility. I'm on a high of joy. I'm on a high of satisfaction, because I know this was another step in my God-given purpose. I'm very big on finding out what your purpose is. I believe that we're all born with a specific purpose, and so there's that sense of joy. I've taken another step, you know, in my purpose. There's that. How has it changed me? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But I think, again, being able to impact people's lives, for me, I don't know that there's anything better. It's just what I was born to do. So whether it's as a therapist, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, you know, and now as an author, I get to do that. I feel like every day we live, there's actually a quote: we are writing our legacy. And we should remember that in the big things and the small things, everything we do, we're actually putting building blocks towards our legacy. And I know it wasn't easy to write. I know it wasn't easy to find the time. It would have been easier to do other things. And so I do feel a sense of satisfaction. I know you guys are also doing amazing things in your lives and your careers. Well done.
Thank you.
We are all living out our legacies. That's a big theme in the book as well. You know, determining your legacy, discovering it, and having the courage to walk in it. You know, that's important as well.
How do you think it's changed your family? Because I know that you mentioned that it's stories. So surely it will have stories regarding your husband, your children, other extended family members. How do you think your family feels about it? Have they shared with you how they feel about being in the book?
Well, I shared everything. They got to read what I wrote about them. You know, in actual fact, there's one story that's actually pretty personal. And my husband was one who said to me, actually, when I wrote the book at first, I showed it to him. He goes, "Oh, this book looks, your Facebook pictures are perfect. They see you, you're a therapist, nice kids, nice husband. You know what? The book is too perfect. Write something. Let people see that you also, even though you're a therapist and whatever, we all go through things." And so with his permission and with his input, I wrote, you know, one of the stories, which you'll have to find out for yourself, you know, get the book and read it and find out for yourself. But again, even the feedback I'm getting from that story, you know, by me sharing of myself, it's actually giving other people permission. And so if there's one thing that's changed me, people I've known, typically people I knew for like 10, 20 years, I said, hey, take here's a manuscript, read it and give me feedback. I didn't know they also went through things, and they didn't know I went through things, you know, and we all suffered in silence. Brené Brown, who is an awesome, you know, social worker and author, she said, when we own our stories, we have the ability to write a brave new ending. And that's what I did. I'm owning my stories, you know, and I think that's important. When we don't talk about our stories, when we hide them, all it does is it builds up shame. We don't get better. You know what? Ain't nobody got time for that. Let's move on from that shame place. Move on towards our destiny.
Oh, awesome.
We love that. We love that. So are there book clubs? I know in Florida there's a lot of people who have different organizations. Are there any book clubs that have taken on your book to maybe read and discuss it? Are you aware of that yet?
I don't know yet. This is all very new, right? This is all, in fact, my sister was laughing at me. She said, you know, there was a show in the 2000s called Girlfriends. Anybody remember that show? Anybody? Are you guys old enough?
Yeah.
And so there's one girl called Maya. She goes, I'm an authoress. So my sister doesn't call me an author. She calls me authoress. So I've had a couple of friends. I've had one friend who told me that this month of October, she and her friends are buying the book, and they're actually running for breast cancer. So they're running, I think, 35 miles. And I think what you do is you run or you walk and you log your miles every day. And so what they are doing is that they walk, log it, and then read a chapter of Reflections of a Hoodmonger. And then they are talking about it. So, but there's definitely a lot in there. You know, I highly recommend that you get it, you read it, and it's a different kind of book for sure. And if I'm selling myself, before I became a therapist, I was a marketing person in pharmaceuticals. So I do know how to sell.
It's a sales rep.
That's what I was actually.
Okay.
So viewers, you have heard it all. Please go to Amazon, purchase the book. You get a paperback. I personally got the ebook, so you can download it on your Kindle. You can be able to read it whenever you want to. Please take it serious and just commit to it. At this month, we're doing mental health. Take this month, take a challenge on, read the book, provide us your feedback so we can come back and ask questions. And of course, if you have maybe specific questions for Sister Aba, we'd be able to relay them to her and she can provide us the answers as well. So I just take this opportunity to once again congratulate her. From everyone in Chicago, we say a big congratulations to you. And we encourage all of us to get the book. Let's get the book. Let's read the book this month.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Yes. Dr. OFORI, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. So question number one, I mean, before I even go to the questions, I must really, I don't know what to say, but you've done a great job with putting all of that together. I don't know how long it took you, which is my question. How long did it take you to put that book together? And how difficult was it? What were the hurdles?
Yeah, it was, for me, it was hard for me. It was hard for me. I was doing it, and then my son got married last year. So I was busy planning my wedding and my family, and so I put it down. It was a project I think for me, it was probably over a year of this, you know. So I think if I had some advice to give to anybody, and something for my next book, get somebody, an accountability partner, and then set some specific goals and write a certain amount, you know, every day. The truth is that all you can do is write. There's a guy called John Maxwell. Have you anybody heard of John Maxwell? He's John Maxwell. He wrote, I think, the 21 Laws of Leadership. He's faith-based and very into leadership and so on. And he's very prolific. He's written, I don't even know how many, 30-something books. And he says what he does every day is he's called 5 things he does every day. You know, and one of those things was write. So therefore, in rain, in shine, in an airplane, in a boat, he'll get up, he'll write. That's one of his 5 things. And so if you're going to, anybody think of writing a book, go ahead and do that, you know. And the truth is also that there's so many ways. If you don't like actually typing or writing, record things, record ideas, begin to have a plan. and then break it down and then give yourself goals and work at it. Don't stop. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story that can impact the world. So if anybody wants to write, just come talk to me. I'll encourage you. Keep going.
Yes.
If I could do it, anybody can do it. And I tell you, this is the truth. Yeah. Did you have another question, Dr. Fori? Or
yeah.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to know if you had an audio version of it.
Not yet.
But I don't think
not
so.
yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
But I'm this. You're like the fourth person to ask me. I'll work on that for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's read some comments before you leave. I've lost a lot of the comments, but whatever I can see right now, I'll just read it. Clementine, thanks for watching us. Salima Pokua, wow, so educative, and I'm fully enlightened today. Keep it up, Mom. Doris Jamashi says nice. Star Johnson says very informative. Clementine Forson, beautiful and good job. Eunice Cromwell says, oh, that's a lot of
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just giving a description for people. I'm gonna actually put the I'm sorry. I'm putting the link for Amazon. I'll put it down there for people to be able to purchase it.
All right. So right now we would like to excuse Mrs. Abba and Mrs. Abba. It was a pleasure having you on the show. I think we have to have a part 2 of this show where you can come and have more time with us. You've been very pleasant to talk to. I hope we can continue this another time. But
absolutely, just tell me, I'll come.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. So I just log off, right? I leave. Is that what I do?
You leave. You can.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Mrs. Eunice Cromwell, what did you think of Mrs. Abba?
Oh, she's a beautiful person. When I met her, I was just like, wow, she's just really, really nice. And I've always really enjoyed her presence. I've stayed in contact with her. I met her when I was in Florida in school. So yeah, we just really clicked. She's a beautiful person, very knowledgeable, very patient. You can imagine having someone like that as a counselor. You can tell her everything, She's just such a wonderful person. So I'm so grateful she was able to come and share her experiences with us today. Very, very refreshing.
So you went to school?
I did my associate's degree in Florida, in Tampa.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we heard last week our president contracting the COVID.
Yeah.
And, he was treated with dexamethasone and dexamethasone. How do you call it?
Dexamethasone. Yeah.
So Dr. Ofori, why was he getting? He was also getting Remavir or whatever. What did they? Yeah.
Regeneron.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Remdesivir, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did get a lot of, cocktail of medicines that you and I, if we caught COVID, I don't think we will be receiving. So one of them, he had a cocktail of antibodies, right? Which is supposed to, normally you develop the antibodies when you get a disease, right? But this is I should say, an experimental drug that is they're trying to push it through clinical trials. But then he had some kind of a waiver to be able to use it. Also, he had remdesivir and dexamethasone, some zinc. The whole repertoire of drugs that we give to COVID patients, except for the antibody cocktail, which now I guess he claims that is a cure to COVID, but I don't think we should believe that. Yeah, but what it goes to tell us is that anyone is vulnerable to this, right? If you can infect the president of the US, right? Of course he didn't heed to the advice of the scientists. So he didn't listen. So he got it. So it's the same thing. If you don't listen and you're just a regular guy on the street, you're gonna catch it too. So, but the good news is that I mean, he survived it. I don't know. They are not giving a lot of information about the whole disease and how he got out of the hospital. But everybody's kind of scared around him now. The guy with the virus. So I mean, I know it's kind of a stigmatization, but this is a good stigmatization. So, I mean, it's still around. We should still make sure that we wear our mask to protect us from the virus, and also make sure that we stay healthy, so that we don't get severe forms of the disease whatsoever. Yeah.
Asantiwa Dapa is asking a question. She's asking, question for Dr. Ofori. Suffering in silence is very common in our culture. How can we break that cycle and let go and move on?
Well, what I would suggest is that, I mean, so you're talking about mental health instead of, I mean,
referring to
mental health. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So she's referring to mental health. So basically, that is the whole thing behind stigmatization, right? People don't want to say it because they think it's something that people are going to laugh at them or make mockery of them. I know a lot of people that have some sort of mental illness, but they never try to seek help. And one thing is that a lot of these people commit suicide, right? I had a friend growing up who I think he had epilepsy, which is a neuropsychiatric disease, right? And when he had an episode, everybody, started talking about him, and the guy killed himself. It was very sad. But if you understand what that disease is, right, it's not anything that somebody gets from, maybe a spirit or anything like that, or it's not their fault. We'll be able to understand it and feel some sort of sympathy for the people. So suffering inside without letting anybody know, it's not a good thing. We want people to seek help because there's help, actually. You saw Miss Abba come on the show. She's such a nice lady. If you need some kind of, I should say, counseling or anything like that, there are several people like her that can actually help you out. Yeah.
Where did Mrs. Eunice Cromwell go?
I believe I think she was having some technical issues, so I'm sure she will join us later. Yeah.
So talking about mental health, right? I wonder, if you go see a psychiatrist, would that go on your record? Maybe if I want to look for a job one day, they might see that I have underlying mental issues. Maybe that's one reason why people might not want to.
Yeah, FEPA doesn't. There's a law that doesn't allow that in the US. I know. Yeah, you have to give the consent that they can give your medical record, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with what you're capable of. But usually they ask you on your application whether you have any form of disability, right? That will kind of prevent you from doing the work that you're supposed to do. So yes, I mean, if you have that to declare, then they will have to work with the ADA, right? The American Disability Act. So that way they will be able to, work with you. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get a job, but seeking help is more important than just keeping it to yourself.
But there is no way of avoiding your family members if you have mental issues, especially among our culture, where you might go to a party and then your family is then yes, you are bodamu.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The wabodam thing is that's what we are trying to discourage people from even using that word. So wabodam.
No matter what.
I know people will still use it. It's sad.
Yes, you are boredom,
So as soon as they say that, like, whatever comes from you, whatever you do, people just by default, people just don't think, you're there. And that goes to tell you how powerful the mind is, right? The whole body could be nice, dressed up, suit up, and everything, right? But as soon as someone says, hey, he has this issue, by default, people assume that you're incapable, right? We assume the worst situation because the mind controls the body pretty much. So that is why it is so important that we should be aware of our mental health and be able to take good care of it. Because I know people that, if they don't take care of their mental health, they can actually lose it, right? And it just builds on from one point to the other, and it can actually lead to depression and bipolar and all those kind of things. So mental health is very important in that regard.
Psychotropic drugs, are they addictive? Do you have feel-good drugs in them?
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever you talk about psychotropic, it means anything that has to do with the mind. So it alters the way the mind functions one way or the other, right? So correct diagnosis is very important when it comes to mental illness and treatment. So if you're able to kind of diagnose you and be able to give you a drug that is effective for you, then you get the best benefit out of it. It's not about the addiction per se, but it's mostly about how tolerable people are able to take these medications, because they have a lot of side effects. Some of them can actually even worsen some of the situation for the patient. So, and then the fact that in most cases, some people are on this medication for a longer period of time. But the good news is that some mental illnesses can be treated, and the patient can go into remission for a long period of time, right? So it is treatable. It can, some of them can be cured actually, but at the same time, you want to look at what is the treatment benefit from whatever the patient is taking. So if they need a drug, what is the best drug for them? Because there are several ones that you can try, but then the best one that suits that particular patient is what we look for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So viewers, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break, and then Mrs. Eunice Cromwell will give us updates on COVID-19. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Boy. No. She ran can no pay myself. Thank Ghana boy, yeah. Cause you come, you done me, You tie me up, you treat me up, you tie me up, you tie me up, you treat me up, you tie me up. What do you feel when you're or time for way? I can't walk Nankamiko. What do you feel when you're or time for way? I can't walk Nankamiko. Listening you down, send me your button, what to me to down. You send me your button more. Miss was Michelle was doing a mere she don't know, but I'm fitting me and you whoa. Tell me your car, come and meet your mouth. Me your car, come and meet your mouth, yeah. Me your car, come and meet your mouth, Me your car, come and meet your mouth, yeah. She ran can, you pay myself. Thank Ghana boy, yeah. Cause you come, you done me, You tie me up, you treat me up, you tie me up, you tie me up, you treat me up, you tie me up. What do you feel when you're or time for way? I can't walk. What do you feel when you're or time for way? I can't walk Nankamiko. Listening you down, send me your button, what to me to down. Me send me your button more. Me say Michelle was doing a mere she run along, but I'm fitting me and you whoa. Tell me don't come and meet your mouth. Me don't come and meet your mouth, yeah. Me don't come come and meet your mom. Oh, me do come and meet your mom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She run come, you pay myself. Thank Ghana boy, yeah. Cause one come, you done me. Oh, you tie me out, you treat me out, you tie me out. You tie me out, you treat me out, you tie me out.
Africa TV. This is COVID-19, the way forward. I'm being joined with my co-host, Eunice Cromwell, and Dr. Edward OFORI. And right now, we will give the platform to Mrs. Eunice Cromwell to give us updates on COVID-19. Mrs. Eunice Cromwell, over to you.
Thank you. I think at one point COVID-19 was really, it was kind of going downhill. Come every other week and we talk about statistics, but I don't know how you guys feel. I think that it's definitely on the rise. I think with President having it, unfortunately, has made people more afraid. There's an image that really stays in my mind when he got off the plane and he kind of, gave everyone a sign. Then he went to the top and removed his mask. I mean, I was like, oh, I was afraid. I'm thinking about how it's going to be spreading in the White House, and I think it's a very vulnerable time right now. And actually, according to what I read here, it shows that just yesterday alone, we had one of the highest. We had a lot of cases, 3,059 new cases in COVID-19, and then we had 32 additional deaths. So definitely there has been an increase. Dr. OFORI always says that, people are tired of the virus, but the virus is not tired of us. But I think that we're going downhill. Flu season is getting more. We had an in-service today with one of my attendings, and he said, you know what, it's going to be a really rough winter. That's just the reality of it. A lot of people don't want to get the flu vaccine, so I'll take this opportunity to encourage our community to please get your influenza vaccine. It is real protection, but I just feel there's going to be so many more things that we don't know. A lot of pneumonia. Today alone, about maybe 50% of my patients were all having COPD exacerbation. So when you think about all this and you think about medications you have to give people, COVID-19 becomes something that you wish you didn't have to deal with. Like, I wish that was not one of my differential diagnoses, right? I wish I could look at a patient and say that, okay, I think you have either the flu, I think you have a common cold, I think you have pneumonia, let me rule this out. But when you throw COVID-19 in the mix and I don't really have anything to treat you, I'm kind of just like, wow. So if you do have COVID, I'm going to be telling you the same thing, supportive care. So as a provider at this time, it's a lot. It's scary because I really don't know what we're doing and I don't know what we're heading to. So Dr. OFORI, I mean, you're the medication man. Tell us what we have to look forward to and what can we, honestly, what should we be thinking about?
Yeah, I think at this moment, everybody's counting on some vaccine or, because the treatments that we have now is just basically trying to either control inflammation or some kind of anticoagulant. Remdesivir is the only antiviral that we have. So, I mean, there's still some research going on, but then, drug development takes a while. Even vaccine development takes a lot of years, right? So to get all of that within a year is kind of a little challenging. So even though we do have ways to prevent the infection, which is good news, I think we should focus more on the preventative than trying to get a cure to it or a treatment. Because like most RNA viruses, it's kind of hard to get a handle of. HIV is one of those, right? So it's a little challenging. Even if you have vaccines, the question is, because of what is going on, I don't think a lot of people are going to take it. Kamala Harris says if it's coming from some place, she's not going to take it, right? In a sense, it sends the messaging out there, people really don't want to take it, right? So I think it's going to be a challenge with, flu coming in a few months. It's going to be really bad. I think we should keep doing it, what we're doing now, at least to prevent the COVID infection and just get a vaccine for the flu.
So with everything going on right now in our own community, of course, we know African Americans were having it a lot more. We are also aware that people with hypertension and diabetes, what exactly should we be telling people? I've been telling all my patients to really, really, take their hypertension, their diabetes more serious, right? Make sure that they're following up, taking their medication. But what else can we really tell people? I mean, people are tired of, I feel like I'm a broken record. If I talk to a patient, they're like, yeah, we heard it, drink water. And I'm like, yeah, because these are things that can make you feel better. These are things that eventually, even if you have an acute kidney injury, right? If you drink a lot of fluids, we'll see better labs. So these are things that I know that can help you. But what else can we tell people? I have patients who are telling me that, you know what, Eunice, I don't want to get tested because you don't have anything. Like, what are you going to tell me to do differently if I am positive? And that's a whole thing that even goes back to what Sister Abba was telling us about mental health, right? That can cause a disruption in mental health because now you're at home, right? Maybe you have a severe cough. Maybe you just notice that you can't taste your food anymore. But then you're thinking to yourself that why tell someone, because what are they going to do about it?
I mean, it's a very serious issue that we have now because people are fatigued, right? We are all COVID fatigued. Wearing a mask. I mean, wearing a mask is okay. Some people just don't want to wear it, right? And some people don't. They think, what is the worst thing that can happen? And then when it happens, they go to Mausi and they go to you in the hospital, and they'll put all this pressure on people. I had talked to one person who is a frontliner worker, and she said she ran like a 12-hour shift, and she goes, on her way home, she sees people not wearing masks, right? And then she just kicks herself. She's like, oh my God, you know how long I have to, stay up to take care of patients just because maybe they didn't wear the mask or just didn't stay safe. The repercussions are really serious. So I think let's not forget, it's still around until we find a vaccine. Even people who have had it, we don't even know if they are protected from the virus. That is an interesting part of it. Even when we do have a vaccine, we don't even know how long the vaccine is going to protect us for. So the best thing we have is to try not to get it. But again, looking at the way things are going, even right now, as to speak, a lot of the numbers are just going off the roof. So it tells you that we're just not going anywhere. We're not making much progress. We did, but then for some reason, we are going back to where we started. Yeah.
And the medications that they gave the president, I know I got disconnected. Are those offered to everybody? Because I know that it's become kind of a political issue where a lot of people feel like, he got special privilege, which, I mean, he is the president of the United States. So even if he did, there's nothing we can do about it. But is that court treatment offered to everybody, or was it offered to him more because of his age and because of his status?
So I think out of the medication that he received, there was only one that is not available to everyone, which is the antibody cocktail, right?
Okay.
And I mean, I'm just so annoyed and pissed at the fact that he tells everyone that is a cure to the virus, and it's only 300 and something people that have been tested on. You understand?
Wow.
So it creates this illusion that we are still hiding the treatment to the virus. And it's not helping issues at all. So now all these conspiracy theories and people that think, the disease is a hoax to keep people indoors and all of that, they will believe him, because he just got out of the hospital and he thinks is the antibody that really helped him. The question is, you receive about 4 different things. So how do you know which one actually helped you out here, right? So yeah, that is the only one. It's a cocktail of immunoglobulins that he received, and they target the spike proteins of the virus, and it's an investigational drug, which means it hasn't even crossed to the clinical stages yet, right? I mean, like the stage 1, stage 2 is an experimental drug, so it has a long way to go. But then he received it. but we don't even know if it is the one that actually saved his life, right? So it's still up in the air, and I don't think it's something that he should be preaching to people that is a cure to it.
I believe his good friend, Dr. Stella, said it was the hydrochloroquine that he had been taking, that she had prescribed to him that was really the benefit of it all.
But I didn't see hydrochloroquine on his prescription, right? So, and again, yeah, he's just one of those unique patients. And I don't want to compare him. I always say this, that I don't want to compare him to anybody else going through this. Because yes, he does have care, even now that he's in the White House or wherever he is. He has support. But a lot of us, they tell us go home and, you got it until you can breathe.
Right.
So he's different, right? As soon as he was diagnosed, he was rushed to the hospital. Even remdesivir, we reserve it for hospitalized patients, right? But hey, I mean, now he received the whole course. He has different things monitoring him, but he's lucky. I would say that he's still lucky because none of these therapeutics is proven to actually 100% cured somebody. So it could have gone really bad. So what I'm advising is that, and you could tell when he climbed up the stairs, he couldn't really breathe, right? Yeah. So that the virus is real, and I think it can actually do a lot of damage, no matter what you are, whether you are the layperson or the president. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting times that we're in, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So all that I will say is that, I mean, and I see a lot of social media footage from Ghana, and I'm beginning to worry a little bit, right? I see a lot of people jumping jumping around like politicians and things, crowds actually.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's so funny how we relax the rules in Ghana when the elections were coming up, and then they slow down the testing. So that is one thing that I'm not really comfortable with, because we've done a great job in Ghana. Maybe we can give the seat to Ghanaians and they might be able to help us up here. But notwithstanding what I'm seeing there, if the numbers start keeping on going up again, I think we will have real issues back home.
Right.
You think it's going up because of the people who are traveling? I learned that I saw an article actually the other day that they're charging, I think, a $150 fee for you to take in. So there were like a whole lot of people sleeping at the airport. I guess it couldn't afford the $150 fee. So do you think that the potential spike in Ghana could be related to the people who are traveling, from the outside, not so much the people who are already in Ghana?
So I think it can be linked to two things. They slow down on testing, and also the testing that they do at the airport, I understand, is not the most sensitive of all of them, right? So yeah, you can catch some of it, but not all of it. So I mean, there will be a lag phase. It wouldn't be like an abrupt increase in numbers like we saw in New York or something like that. So I have a feeling we will be able to catch up, but it's a sign of precaution that we don't have to let it get out of control, because we don't have that much support in Ghana like we do here, But I mean, our people listen, they wear the mask and they do kind of things. But now what I'm seeing is not what I expect. I'm seeing a lot of people just now flaunt all the rules, no social distancing, they just jumping and
things are very normal in Ghana from what I see. It's like everyday life.
Yep.
Do you have to take the do you have to do the test at the airport, or let's say you went somewhere and you had it, could you bring it in and show them that maybe like a day before?
No, would they accept it?
Okay, so
you have to test before you go, right? You have to have a test within 72 hours. That's what I understand. And then when you get to the airport, they have that quick test that they can conduct to further screen you, pretty much.
Further screen you, okay.
My friend has traveled to Ghana, and I think she had to transit twice. And everywhere she transited at, they accepted her COVID result from the United States.
Okay.
But then she gets to Ghana and they wouldn't accept the results. They were like, you have to pay that $150. So I'm like, are they taking advantage of the situation? I think they're just taking advantage of the situation. And if you
It is a
cannot
lot
pay,
of money to be made.
if you cannot
No,
pay,
no,
then
no. I don't think. Yeah, and again, we can say that because the thing says 72 hours prior to your travel ship, right? And then between that time and you getting to Ghana, I don't know. I'm just right now. We don't know too much about this virus, so I think it's just a sense of precaution. And at the same time, I agree with you. It could be that it's an income generating thing to help our people, but it's not. If that is the case, then I don't think it's ethical. But then they are just being cautious. That we don't have any spike in numbers in Ghana, and I don't think we are prepared for it.
And so what happens if you're positive? Because I know at one time there was an article that I read and it said that you have to quarantine. And I think they were, at one point, was it the government was paying for people to quarantine in some of these hotels in Accra, or you have to pay for yourself? What
You
about the
have to
people
pay for yourself.
So what about the people who travel? A lot of people travel back home and they're on a set money, right? You're going to go home to your home, right? You don't have to pay for hotel and all this other stuff. So now you get to the airport, you're positive, and they want to put you in a beautiful 5-star hotel in Accra. Like, what if you don't have the money?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, a lot of people, because of that, raised a lot of eyebrow on it because it's expensive. I think some of the hotels were costing like $100 a night or something like that.
That's
So
a
if you
lot.
have to stay there for 2 weeks, yeah, that's some good money. You can build a mansion in my village with that. So I don't think it's appropriate in that sense, to be quarantined and having the people to pay for it. I mean, the government has enough to take care of that, I believe.
Or set up some type of camp. I think in Nigeria they have like a huge place where people can go and quarantine. I don't remember where I saw that article, but they could definitely, use some of the money and set up some place where people can be versus having to be in a hotel. Because then the other part of it is that then who is really sterilizing these hotels up to par when these people who are supposedly COVID-19 positive leave from the hotel? I think it's just a bad risk for everyone. It's a economical risk, and it's also a safety hazard for the people working there and the people who are traveling there.
That's true.
So we have a comment here. Ibrahim Mohammed. I have a friend who failed a paper in exam at senior high school, and unfortunately, his first symptoms of talking harshly, very rigid, and behaving unusual. Then it was new to us, but subsequently at the university, the same symptom manifested again. A lady disappointed him in a relationship, and there it came again. People always relate it to spiritual meanings, but his parents always debunked the idea. Please, what could be wrong? I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
No. So he's talking about episode of a mental, illness or something like that. Someone
some type of breakdown.
Yeah. So yes. So there were 2 instances that he's referring to, and he thinks that people said that the guy is having a spiritual attack. That's what it means.
So is spirituality not affecting the way people look at mental health in these African countries? Don't you think
I think in all third world countries, yeah.
Yes, we believe in putting all our hopes in God and all that. Is making us look at mental health differently. It's hard
That's
for us
true.
to.
That's true. I think faith has a role to play in that, in the sense that, there are certain people who will have a mental illness, but then will go to the church, whatever their faith calls them to do, they will do that. I'm not speaking against that, but then maybe you can combine the two, right? You can still go to the hospital psychiatrist, and you can get that, psychotherapy or the talk to or the counseling component from the pastor, because of course faith plays a role. The sense of having some kind of faith or hope in a superior being that can help you out helps a lot. But that doesn't rule out the fact that you can add, going to a psychiatrist. A lot of people overlook that and just focus on prayer, and the person deteriorates. That's one thing that happens in a lot of mental illnesses. It's just it goes up, and it doesn't come down because you're not managing it. So in his case, he says the person had an episode when they were like a teenager, and that's one thing with a lot of either schizophrenia or some kind of schizoaffective disease. It tends to start like around that time when the teenage age, right? Some people have that episode. Some people cannot stand stress, right? They can have stress related episodes as well. So this person, I wouldn't say, oh, they are schizophrenic or anything like that. It could be that they just had a stress or some kind of an panic disorder or anything like that. So they need to be evaluated by a psychiatrist, and I believe there will be a treatment for that person.
I have seen instances where pastors have cast out mental illnesses, saying it was the devil. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, no.
Yeah. So let me tell you this funny story. There was a pastor that tried to do that. Right. He will give people some water to drink, and they found out that the water he was giving them actually had antipsychotics in it.
Oh,
right? Wow. So whenever he gave them the medicine, the people will calm down. They're like, oh, he actually cast the demon out, and people were paying a lot of money for that water, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you really had that spirit, right? And I know the Bible says we should help each other, right? Maybe you should go to Pantine or where else in Ghana, and just go there and cast all the yes, and let them all be free, right? Well, I don't know. So,
I think a lot of people take advantage of a lot of things because, just like you're saying, the pastor was using the water. Now, you could look at it in two ways. The pastor was using the water as a placebo, right? Because he already knew what was inside there, and he was just wanting people to do it. But then you have to look at the bigger picture. And unfortunately, Christianity has become in such a way that people are so interested in the money-making aspect of it, or the wow factor, or doing the magic and all this other stuff. So it takes away from the people who are truly just really committed to just faith in itself, right? Just praying. Remember, Sister Abba was even saying that you could even use prayer, journal, exercise. All these things are supposed to help mental health. But when you are just taking advantage of people, they know there's a lot of ignorance back home, right? A lot of people will believe anything that you tell them. When I was in Ghana, people were selling all type of holy oil and all, what and what. And it's like everyone is so anxious to find a fixer. Everybody wants to purchase something and say, this is going to make this happen to you. This is going to make this happen to you. And that is our problem. Honestly, that is the whole problem in Africa, because everyone believes that there is a treatment, there's a bottle of somewhere that someone has prayed upon that's going to change your whole life. And it's not. Your life will change when you change it. You need to do the work. You need to recognize that you have a problem. The man spoke and said that the first time they saw this attitude, no one mentioned it. There are just some people in life who really get fed up of nonsense. And that's the honest to God truth. Maybe they've been very quiet. They said the first thing was something in school. Second thing was a girlfriend disability. That was probably just like, you know what, enough is enough. So this is reality, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that he's crazy or demonic. It means that he got tired of being treated bad and he finally spoke up. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another comment here. Roshan Mensa Tete. I think it's possible to contract the virus during transit to Ghana. Airplanes are an enclosed space. Marian Kelechi, I think they are just taking advantage of people coming from the USA. And then Marian Kelechi also says there's God. We shouldn't be stupid about our health. Mental health is real, and 75% of Africans are mentally challenged, but still won't admit it. And then Marianne Kelechi, some others hide it because of the stigma Africans attach to it. And then Ibrahim Mohammed, of course, I was talking about a friend's mental history. Now, it seems anytime he has a negative result or get disappointed, his symptoms comes. I think recently he has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Okay.
Yes. So those are the comments so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will take a little break, and maybe when we come back, we'll take our closing remarks. Today has been very enjoyous. Is that a word?
In the Mausi's dictionary.
I'm so sorry.
For the COVID-19 program, yeah.
When we come back to, we'll be talking about the health fair. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Bang, bang, bang. Pause a minute for today. Wash your hands clean and pray. Global epidemic day. Corona. People dying every day. Corona. It be virus. Mania. Funny serious. Corona. Yeah, virus. Echewa. We go lost. Wash your hand daily with running water and don't stop. Keep away from non-farm meetings and do something, bro. Pray for your enemy, pray for your family, pray for your country, yeah. Don't forget to keep clean with hand sanitizer. Pause a minute for today. Wash your hands clean and pray. Global epidemic day. Corona. People dying every day. Corona. It be virus. Mania. Funny serious. Corona. Yeah, virus. Echewa. We go lost. China, Japan, man down. Italy, UK, man down. United States locked down. What now? Pause a minute for today. Wash your hands clean and pray. Global epidemic day. Corona. People dying every day.
Hi, my name is Ochiame Kwame the Rap Doctor. Coronavirus is a stubborn one, and because of this small virus, the whole world is on lockdown. But hey, hope is not lost. When you need a doctor, you mustn't go anywhere. All you have to do is to call mobile doctors. They will send a doctor to your home, send a fleb to come and take your blood sample.
I will authorize the pharmacist to bring the medication to your home. Don't go anywhere. Mobile doctors will bring everything to you wherever you are.
If you are looking for a discount, just call and give them this code OKMD and they'll give you an amazing discount. Mobile doctors is my choice and I recommend it for you. For more information, log on to www.mobiledoctors.net. Mobile doctors, the doctors in your home.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the health segment on Trend Africa TV. This is COVID-19, the way forward. Mrs. Eunice Cromwell, can you please give us updates on the health fair and how are you preparing? What should we expect?
Well, we should expect everything that we see every other Thursday, like to the 10th degree, right? We have about 15 people who are going to be coming to speak. Hopefully we'll have it like in a Zoom format, so people who want to ask questions, they can, log on and be on part of our feed. So we'll work with the technology team about that. That's really my vision for it, right? Because at a health fair, we're face to face with people. So since we're virtual, I think that would be nice. But we're going to have all different type of topics. We'll be talking about hypertension, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, and hepatitis B, which is very, very big amongst Black people and people who are in Africa. So a very important topic. Different diseases that affect pregnancy. Of course, we'll be focusing on mental health as well, nutrition. It's just going to be power packed. And what makes me so happy is that there are so many people, so many Africans that are so intelligent. And we have tapped into all these brilliant people. They're coming from all over. We have people coming from Florida and New York and Wisconsin. I mean, we are just very, very blessed, and it's going to be a wealth of knowledge. So please, everyone, October 22nd, Thursday, same time we do our program. Please tune in, tell a friend to tell a friend. Do not miss it. It's going to be a lot of information, a lot of resources, right? We have people that are going to be social workers. And of course, like I always tell our viewers, if you have a question, don't wait till every other Thursday to ask. please send your questions to Trend Africa TV. We are all connected. They will let us know. We can call you. We can help you. Don't live with something that you could have told someone and get treatment for. There's a saying that I love that says that if you have a disease and you don't tell anyone, you won't have any medicine for it. So whatever the case may be, whatever you may be going through, even if it's something as simple as where can I go and find free groceries? You don't know who we know. We have a lot of resources through this network, so we can be able to help you. So tune in. Please tune in. We are excited and we are ready.
Okay, so Mrs. Eunice, so if somebody has erectile dysfunction, that's the topic I don't want to be on Zoom talking to anybody about.
Well, it's a real issue, and luckily for us, we do have a lot of doctors who are going to be joining us. And I would say that that is such a personal, sensitive topic, especially for our African men.
Because
so that would
among the African community, after you come out that you have erectile dysfunction.
Oh, I'm sure to be on Facebook with a meme. But you can definitely talk to people privately. Like, this is what I always tell people, that there are so many things that we go through, right? And I'm not saying that you need to post on your wall that, hey, this is what I'm going through. But there are people who, believe it or not, if you tell them, they will be the ones to help you. Maybe your issue is something as easy as just to, reduce the size of your prostate, right? Which is medication is available. So you never know what the reason is. Maybe it's something as simple as, let's readjust your blood pressure medicine. Let us do some different. So I would just tell everyone that no matter what it is, we are all in a community. We all love each other. This is the reason why we all birthed this program. And I want people to really understand that we could be doing anything every other Thursday night, but when we all sat down and thought, what could we do to contribute to our community during COVID-19? This is what we came up with. Right. So I really want people to really tune into this. All these topics that were coming, these are things that we are thinking to ourselves like, okay, what should we talk about next? So if you have a topic, or if you have something, even if you don't want us to know who you are, send it anonymously and say, could you please address this topic? Let us find that professional who is going to come and really break it down to all of us. So it's not pointing you out. It's not saying that, hey, Adjoa, this is what you asked about. We're answering your question. No, it's going to everybody. As you listen to people for other people's problems, you're going to get the answer for your own problems. And that's something that I really, really believe in. That's why I love to read. That's why I love to read different articles and watch different programs, because what I'm going through, I don't have to open my mouth and say that, you know what, Dr. OFORI, this is my problem. But maybe if I come to the program, before you know it, Dr. OFORI is going to be talking about, I'm going to be like, good, that's my answer. So that's what it's all about, guys.
Dr. OFORI, how are you preparing?
Well, I'll give a talk on mental health, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm very excited about this program, and we have a list of people that are going to give us very good information. So I expect everybody to tune in and listen to us when the time comes.
Please do.
Well, since you spoke last, can you go ahead and give us your closing remark?
Well, my closing remarks is very simple and straightforward. Let's take care of ourselves. If you don't, yourself will not be there to take care of you, right? So you need to make sure that, like, either it's mental, physical, coronavirus, whatever it is, hypertension, make it a point to be like a custodian or your own doctor, right? Educate yourself about your own health. Like, how healthy are you? If it was like a credit score, what is your score, right? So that is one thing that I'll advise everyone. And also protect yourself from the coronavirus. We don't even know what it's going to do to a lot of people that have contracted it. So let's stay safe, and we will meet in 2 weeks.
All right, Dr. OFORI. We excuse Dr. OFORI now, and enjoy the rest of your evening, Dr. OFORI. Mrs. Eunice Cromwell, go ahead and give us your closing remarks.
Well, as always, I'm so privileged to be on this format. Once again, I just encourage everyone to really seek the resources that you need. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed to ask what you don't know. There are a lot of people who are willing to help, who have good hearts, and who are not just looking for information to carry it around to maybe discredit you. So please, seek those resources that you need. Let me remind everybody about the book we also heard about. I did put the link down in the description below. please visit Amazon, purchase the book, read something, enrich yourself, and just be healthy, just be happy. And of course, we are always here to support you in anything that you want to do. Mausi always says, if you have a topic or anything, please and please let us know so we can address that topic. Once again, I'm very, very happy to be here, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Cromwell. That is my angel right there. I mean, very resourceful lady. Viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to our segment today. Remember, if you have any topic you would like us to address, please contact us on trendafricatv@gmail.com, or you can call us on 773-312-0318 or 773-756-6678. And also, if you have a business you would like us to run the commercial during any of our programs, please contact us on those same mediums, and we'll work something out with you. Today we address mental health, and viewers, check on your loved ones, check on your friends, your family, and your neighbors. You know, it is our humanitarian responsibility to always make sure our neighbors and our friends and family are doing well. The fact that somebody is not telling you what they're going through does not mean they are not going through something. Please check on them. Ask them, hey, are you doing okay? Can I come over and bring you something? And make sure you always protect yourself too. Let's continue to protect ourselves. Right now, I'd like to say goodbye and see you guys again in 2 weeks. Until then, be safe. Bye-bye.
Baby, take 'em easy. Make 'em slow.
Wish flag on it.
I need that thing of flex, yeah. Bad man when I touch body, but no, you be the one I wanna be with. So give 'em to me the way I want it. Chuku love me, I know want to. Basa basa love me, I know want to. Chaka chaka love me, I know want to. Baby, baby, chuku love me, I know want to. Basa basa love me, I know want to. Chaka love me, I know want to. I know want to. So take 'em easy.
advertise with us, donate sponsorships and suggestions, email us at trendafricatv@gmail.com or call us on 773-312-0318 or 773-756-6678. Remember to also follow and like us as Trend Africa TV on Facebook so you can always catch us live. On Instagram as Trend Africa TV 123 or subscribe to our YouTube channel as Trend Africa TV and click on the notification button to watch previous shows. You can also visit our website for your African news, entertainment, fashion, and sports updates on www.trendafricaonline.net. Trend Africa TV, redefining Africa.